The last thing to note as we wind down for today is that some history was made today in the WHL as defenseman Landon DuPont became just the 9th player in the history of the CHL to be granted exceptional status.
Defenseman, huh?
Yes, he is the first defenseman in WHL history and only the second player in WHL history to accomplish the feat after Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about the history of exceptional status really quick because
Sweet. Future
Landon
Shark.
DuPont, by the way, is eligible for the 2027 draft.
Ah, shit, maybe not.
He is currently 14 years old out of Calgary, listed at 5'11 and 170 pounds,
Holy
by the way.
shit! At 14?
At 14,
Yes.
he turns
Oh my
15 on
God.
May 28th.
Macklin, spend 4 years in college, bud. we need this guy.
He is playing at Edge School U18 Prep.
Edge, huh?
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
In Utah.
Everyone was talking, making jokes about that. I was like, edging.
Again, he's 14 years old in an under 18 league where he had 62 points in 30 games in the regular season, 19 goals, again, as a defender, and 16 points in 5 playoff games. No shit. He was granted exceptional status with numbers like that, right? Like, he looks insane.
Yeah.
The history, though, of eligible status. The rule was enacted in 2005, and since then, there have been just 9 players to be granted exceptional status. Let me know if, in hindsight, you think it worked out for these players.
Oh, man.
Any idea, by the way, of the very first to be granted exceptional status?
John
And
Tavares.
when did they start it?
Correct endurance.
Oh, yeah, okay.
2005, John Tavares was the first player to be granted exceptional status, which was a good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, he, to this day, I mean, say what you want about the contract and whatever. John Tavares.
He's a monstrous player, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is absolutely worthy of, yep, he should have been granted exceptional status. And for the record, his numbers, by the way, before his first year in his first year in the OHL in 2005, 2006, he put up 77 points in 65 games as a 15-year-old heading into age 16.
Yeah.
The year
That's
before
nuts.
that, he was playing for the Toronto Marlboros AAA team, under 16, where in 72 games, he posted 158 points with 91 goals, and also played a step up in the OPJHL, the, God, what the hell did that stand for?
Ontario Provincial Junior Hockey League.
Yes, now known as just the OJHL, where he had 28 points in 20 games. He was an absolute monster. He went into junior, was an absolute monster there. His second season, by the way, 06-07 in Oshawa, 134 points in 67 games.
Ridiculous.
He was a monster before the exceptional status. He was a monster afterwards. Obviously went on to be the face of the Islanders until he wasn't. And still, you're talking about a player now that has a career .94 points per game after 1,103 career games.
Great career.
Phenomenal.
So it worked out for him.
Yes.
Next. I like
The
this.
second did not happen until 2011. 6 years in between. Defenseman Aaron
Strong day.
Ekblad.
Oh, Ekblad. Fuck yeah.
Ekblad was granted exceptional status.
Yeah, could have worked.
Aaron
better.
Ekblad broke into the league at 18.
Concussions, man.
He's had some injury troubles for
Yeah.
sure. Before his first year in the OHL, for the Sun County Panthers under 16 team, AAA level, 34 points in 30 games as a defenseman. So not the craziest numbers necessarily. Goes to the Barrie Colts, takes him a couple of years to really kind of put up those outrageous numbers, but does debut at age 18 for the Florida Panthers, had 39 points in 81 games after being the first overall pick that year. Has had a really solid career, but has also had a lot of trouble staying healthy. He has not played a full season of hockey since the 2018-2019 season.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you got COVID in the mix there, but he's been limited to 51 games this year, 71 last year. So
he had early injury troubles in his career, man. It sucks.
Yeah. So still a really, really solid career. I don't think that's one that you're looking at like, oh, man. But, not to the level of John Tavares.
Yeah. Next one.
The very next year,
Connor McDavid.
2012, Connor McDavid was the third player ever to be granted exceptional status. And his numbers
Bust.
are obviously fucking insane. Jesus Christ.
I want to hear these, though.
So 2011-12. For the Toronto Marlboros U16 team,
Cracked.
there was the GTHL Under-16 League, where he posted 77 points in 33 games. It gets better. He also that year played for the Marlboros in the U16 AAA League, where in 89 games, he posted 209 points.
You gave him the puck. It was final.
Oh my god, that's like 2.5+ points per game. That's stupid.
His first year in Erie as a rookie, 66 points in 63 games as a 15 to 16-year-old. Is outrageous. And then obviously he'd get better from there. His last year in Erie, in his draft year, 47 games, 120 points.
That's while getting hurt with a wrist injury after taking a fight, by the way.
Yes. And in the playoffs, he put up 49 points in 20 games with 21 goals.
Jesus.
And then obviously we do not have to talk about his Oilers run, where he got hurt in his first year as well.
Came back and scored the most iconic end-to-end goal in his career so far. Going through an entire team, everyone's like, is it going to be the same way as he comes back? I think it was first fucking shift, goes through the entire team, one-hands it. God. Sex.
He's unbelievable, right? Like, I read off John Tavares' numbers. Connor McDavid, through 643 games played, has a career point per game of 1.52. John Tavares is stellar at 0.94.
Yeah.
McDavid's at a 1.52, and through 49 playoff games is at a 1.53. So he gets it done in the playoffs too. I mean, we don't have to hype up Connor McDavid. He is the pure definition of generational talent.
Yeah.
If Connor McDavid were to retire today due to a freak injury or health complication, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't give a fuck. First ballot right there.
Player number 4 in 2013, defenseman
Sean Day.
Sean Day is the first name on this list that didn't really work out.
He's a career AHLer now. I mean, that's still fucking good. That's still great. But for a guy who had exceptional status to not get anywhere higher than that,
You're talking about 3 number 1 overall picks between Tavares, Ekblad, and McDavid before Sean Day went. And in 2016, he was drafted 81st overall in the 3rd round by the New York Rangers.
Wow.
His first year before going to Mississauga, he played in a 16 and under AAA league, had 35 points in 63 games as a defenseman. His career high in the OHL, which he was in the OHL for his entire run, was 47 points in his final year. And then, to this day, has just 2 NHL games played. AHL time, 272 games, 55 games in the ECHL. He just never captured what was, seen. heading into that, exceptional status. For whatever reason, it just didn't work out. And that's kind of the point of this, is you don't know for sure. But obviously, by the time we get to the end of the list, you'll be able to see like, oh, okay, what is the success rate of this? But yeah, he was the first guy to miss out. And obviously, that's tough. You go from Tavares, Ekblad, McDavid, and then, oh, who's the next guy? Probably not easy, but is still a professional hockey player to this day. 2015, forward, Joe Veleno.
Oh, yeah, Veleno.
Yeah, okay.
It feels like another kind of miss here. Like, he's been more successful than Sean Day. Went 30th overall in 2018. That first year before going to the Q, he had 52 points in 41 games. And then goes to the QMJHL and doesn't post over a point per game season until age 17. In his draft year, 104 points. The year after his draft year, actually, 104 points in 59 games. Has played on the Red Wings this year all season long, 75 games. He has 227 career games with 63 points, a .28 point per game mark.
Not great yet.
That's around the time where you're like, okay, man, exceptional status, 3 hits in a row, but then 2 misses. Brings us to 2019. Shane Wright. So far, so good.
Remains to be seen, but yeah, looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers, when granted exceptional status, he played in an under-16 league, the Don Mills Flyers, 150 points in 72 games.
Okay, that team, I will say one thing about that team. That team might be one of the greatest minor hockey teams to ever play in GTHL. There was a story, I want to talk about this because it's kind of like crazy how that team rallied behind each other. The goaltender of that team and the mother were brutally murdered by their father, by the husband. And the whole team, it was like a freak thing that happened. And the whole team rallied behind, the passing of their brother, essentially, with their goalie. And they had one of the greatest they only lost like 3 games all year. It was something no one has ever seen before. And like for that team, for him to have that many points, obviously it's a great player, but like that whole team just bonded behind each other and like definitely help push up their draft prospects as well.
That 2018-19 team as well featured Brant Clark, Brennan Othman, Shane Wright. I mean, there was some big names.
It was stacked.
On that
and that
team.
Goalie was looking like a decent like OHL prospect too.
And then obviously Shane Wright and Jr. does very, very well. Has gotten 6 games with the Kraken this year. They've still been kind of, keeping him in the AHL, letting him ripen up a little bit more, which seems to be the right call. Still just turned 20 in January. Jury's still out, but looking good so far. Then you have Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
Yep. Not too much else to say there about Bedard. Although in terms of looking at those numbers heading into his exceptional status, Grant for West Vancouver Academy Prep in an under-18 league as a 14, 15-year-old, he had 84 points in 36 games with 43 goals.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. And then obviously COVID kind of disrupted his first year in the dub. And then over the next 2 years, he had 100 points in 62 games. And then last year in his draft year, 143 points in 57 games as the captain of the Regina Pats. It's Connor Bedard.
Yep. Is that the last player to get exceptional status?
There's one more prior to Landon DuPont this year. 2022, Michael Misa.
Ah, yeah.
This is another one, obviously, that we cannot judge yet because he is not draft eligible until next year in 2025.
Saginaw Spirit.
Yes, but with that exceptional status, he had 43 points in 27 games for the Mississauga Senators in an under-16 league. His first year with Saginaw, 56 points in 45 games. This year, he has 75 in 67. So still a really solid pace for a young player. The big thing will be this upcoming year.
Yeah.
The draft year, do you see that explosion of being well over a point per game? But he's on track. And it's obviously easier to judge forwards compared to defensemen because you can look at certain numbers and be like, oh, okay, Ekblad's numbers weren't crazy, but he did pan out. Whereas Sean Day's, numbers weren't crazy and, well, not so much for him. Yeah. But, yeah, a quick little stroll down memory lane with the history of players with exceptional status, and I am intrigued to see what Landon DuPont can do. Again, now that he is in, or going to be in the W with, oh God, who is he going to be with next year? I forgot who he was granted status for. It's fine. It's unimportant. Landon DuPont. Who the hell is he playing for next year? Or has it not been announced? I don't think it's been announced. So that makes sense.